Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, and it is time for our 12:30 Simple Songs Intermediate class. Just
Dawn,
remember, yes,
quick question. What is a CM? CNEB? How do you play that?
CM is C and E flat.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Actually, a very good question. Your minor chords, there is mathematical formulas for all your chords. Your minor chords are always the letter plus 3, the letter plus 3. And in the intermediate group, I still want you to keep with C on the bottom being the very last note that you play, and B on the top. Try to stay within that octave range. So if you have, for example, an A minor, which would be A plus 3, so it would be B flat, B, C, A, and C, I don't want you to play it A and C. I want you to play it C and A, because your pinky's already on C. So you can invert those and keep your hand in that same position. So minor chords are always the letter plus 3. Sevens, which are optional, are the letter minus 2. And sevens are moving chords. They're completely different from the major sevens, which are jazz chords, and they are the letter minus 1. The letter minus 1. So that's what you do for those chords. Now, if you happen to get a diminished chord, which sometimes I add those too, the mathematical formula for that is the letter plus 6. The letter plus 6. So that way, if you've got the mathematical formulas, you don't have to go back to your chord charts. Okay. Today's song is Misty. And there's an awful lot to talk about in Misty. It's a gorgeous song. Not the easiest of songs. So that's why we're just going to concentrate on one this week. We're not going to try to give you two in a row. I do have an announcement. At 2 o'clock on Friday, I now know who's going to be the artist for the week. And it's going to be a combination of Jerome and Robert. So our Zoom musical on Friday at 2 will be Jerome and Robert, so join us then for another fabulous Zoom musical on a Friday. And here we go with Misty. Misty is a jazz standard written in 1954 by pianist Errol Garner. It was originally just an instrumental. The lyrics were added later by Johnny Burke, and it became the signature song of Johnny Mathis in 1959. Actually, I think Johnny Burke wrote it for Johnny Mathis with him in mind to sing it. So it was quite a bit later than the original came out that he wrote the lyrics for that. Many other artists performed Misty, including Bing Crosby, Leslie Gore, Sarah Vaughan, Count Basie, and Aretha Franklin. It's something that we've all heard, whether we've been sitting at the dentist office and listening to the music, or we've been at a lounge someplace, or we've been to a jazz club. So, I'm sure most of us have heard Misty one time or another. The song also inspired Clint Eastwood to use this song for his 1971 film called Play Misty for Me. And oh yes, did he have to pay the royalties for that? Because that's what fuels the music world, is all the royalties that have to get paid, and the permissions and all that good stuff. Okay, what kind of a background did I use on this? It comes up in a lot of your song setups as Smoky Lounge. Imagine that, at 70 beats per minute. But I also liked it on Smooth Piano 4/4. Actually, any of your soft and easies are going to be fabulous. I loved it on Smoky Strings. Now, for those of you who don't have Smoky Strings, it's worth buying a new organ just for Smoky Strings. So see me after class, and we'll get you hooked up for that. Also, any of your pianist and guitarist backgrounds are wonderful. I love this on romantic piano, and I loved it on piano offering. So your pianist backgrounds are fabulous on this. Those of you with some of the smaller instruments, a Freedom 3, your mellow, easy 8-beat, is fabulous. And also on the Freedom 3, there's one called Gospel Guitar Heaven, which I'm finding to be perfect for most of your jazz standards and ballads. And I know most of you don't think of going to a gospel background, but Gospel Guitar Heaven on the Freedom 3 is fabulous for a lot of these songs. Also, any of the easy 10s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s, any of your smooths, your full band, your pianist, or your guitarist backgrounds are going to work beautifully for this. And I'm sure most of you can find 100 other ones as well. This is just one of those songs that works with everything. Of course, I don't know if I would like the Misty polka. I don't know if that would be, yeah, or the Misty disco. That probably wouldn't go good either. But don't be afraid to try, okay? Because I know David likes all of his disco stuff. So try it on disco, see what you think. You might actually come up with a new recipe for something good. I'm going to play this on Song Setup. And it's not my favorite one, by the way. And I'm going to tell you how we can do a little bit of fixing. But first, I'm just going to play it on Song Setup and see what you think. It comes up with a jazz organ on the top and a saxophone on the bottom, which are perfect instruments. Let's just see if you like it as well as the person who put it in here did, or if you're kind of along with me and say, I can think of something better. Here we go. Smoky Lounge, 70 Song Setup. Okay, that's Song Setup. And I think one of the reasons I didn't care for that organ as much, and I always tell you, you can never go wrong with a good organ, is that I always like to add harmony, and you notice I didn't add any. Why? Because the minute I do, it gets real muddy because we're playing a lot of low notes, and it gets real muddy. So if I do like the sounds and I want to stay with that, I would have to do something called transpose. That's one of the ways to use transpose. And that would be to put it in a different range so that it wouldn't sound quite so muddy. I could just put my hand up an octave. Of course, then it might sound a little bit squeaky, but if I transpose pretty much to the middle, F, F sharp, or G, and then I wanted to add a duet or an AOC, it probably won't sound as muddy, because I do like playing in this range. Once you start playing up here, it can get a little squeaky. So I'm just going to play the first part of it with the duet. I have gone up to an F sharp for transposing, which is right in the middle, and let's see if we like it any better now. Okay, now that would be as opposed to if I played it in the original key and wanted to add a duet. It didn't come up with a duet. I like to add that as I go along in the arrangement. If I keep it in the original key, here's how it would sound. Wow. That just gets too muddy for me. Okay, so that's just another way to use transpose. You can transpose it up a couple of keys. Same thing, if you start to feel like it's too high, you can try putting your hand down an octave, or you can just knock your transpose down a couple notches and play it where you're comfortable with it and see if that doesn't work. Now, for those of you that have the transpose right on board, it makes it a lot easier. Those of you that have transpose in the window, it's the last thing you should set up. So you want to go to your feature clear and find it in the window, find transpose, touch select, and then pop it up or down a couple of times until you figure out which one's going to sound the best for that song. And if you don't have transpose, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You might want to find a different sound. If it's not even sounding right, then go to something else and find a different sound. But sometimes you just listen to it and you go, that just sounds too muddy, too murky. It's not sounding right. How can I fix it? Well, your transpose is one way to fix it. And if you're questioning that, come and see me in the store, make an appointment, or give me a call or email me, and I'll be more than happy to walk it through with you on your instrument so you can kind of figure out what it's doing and what it does. If you learn one thing about your instrument every time you sit down, you're 100% successful. So if you did not know that you had a transpose, some of you don't, but if you did not know, look on your instrument, find out where it is, because it can be very useful for playing songs. It's also useful for making arrangements, even though we have not really gone that much into that. Okay, any questions about transpose right now that I can answer? Nope, we're good?
I do want to say that's a great idea, because lots of times I up an octave, but I love that sounded so much better transposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. If that's the only thing you learned today, Beverly, you are successful. Woohoo! Okay, let's talk about extra chords. I'm adding a few, but not that many, because this song is chock full of chords. So yeah, you're going to have to spend some time. Now, as a review, how do you practice chords without being boring? Put your background on and just play the chords while you're singing the song. Now, you can sing the song in your head, but work on the chords to make sure you have them. And I will tell you this, your right hand is actually harder in this song, but the chords are also hard. So you want to probably do it hands apart. Use the rhythm to help you. Don't just sit and play, well, let me try this, let me try it. No, use your rhythm so that you can get it in the right time. But sing the song in your head as you go so you can mentally hear where those chord changes are. And you can also see where those chord changes are. So that's the best advice I can give you. All right, make that very first F an F major 7. F capital M-A-J 7. It's a jazz chord. And remember, the mathematical formula for major 7s is the letter minus 1. It's the very next note next door. So your two notes are E and F. And let me just turn this off. Here's a plain old F. Where's my easy button? Come on, there it is. Okay, E and F, which is the F major 7, sounds like this. Ooh, is that pretty? That's a jazz chord, and it's easy to play. So if that's the only thing extra you learned today, You're doing great. As a matter of fact, I think that's the only extra things I put in today are major sevens. Let's go to line 2. Make that very first B flat a B flat major 7, B flat, capital M-A-J 7. Remember the formula? It's the letter minus 1. So your two notes are A and B flat. Now normally you put a thumb on B flat, so if you can do the pointer and the thumb, go ahead and do that. I don't care if you switch them on in this case. But if you can do pointer and thumb, go ahead and do that. If you have to do these two fingers to make it work for you, and don't go, oh, she's telling me I don't have to play the right fingers. No, sometimes when you have the extra chords, you do have to get your hand out of position so that it's comfortable for your fingers. Just make sure that your hand gets back to regular position so you can start feeling your chords. Let's go to line 3. That very first F, make it an F major 7, E and F. Let's go to the last line on the page. Make that last chord B flat major 7, capital M-A-J 7, and it again is A and B flat. Let's go to page 2. Second line. Third measure, your F chord. Guess what? Make it an F major 7. E and F. Third line, second measure, B flat. Make it a B flat major 7, A and B flat. Fourth line, second measure. Make that F chord, guess what? Major 7, E and F, and the last chord of the song. Make it an F major 7. You can begin and end songs with major 7s. They are jazz chords. They're completely different from the regular dominant 7s, which are 2 down, the letter minus 2. A regular 7 is a moving chord or a lead-in chord, and the sound kind of hangs in the air waiting to go to the next chord. And that's why you usually do not end a song on a 7, because the minute I say you never do, somebody will find one that it does. So, because that's music always breaks the rules. But most of the time, you will not see a 7 as the last chord, but a major 7, yes. Yes.
Dawn, is that what you're starting with for intro?
Yes, you would then start with an F major 7 for your introduction. Good call. Yeah. Good call. Of course, if you just start it with F, it's going to sound fine too, but it's going to sound a little bit jazzier if you start it with that F major 7. Yep. Okay, so those are the only chords that I'm adding. Let's go through and see if there's any weirdo ones in here. C minor, C and E flat. Remember, all your 7s are optional. They are on top of the box. So just play F if you wish. If you want to play the F7, it is E flat and F, the letter minus 2. The second line, B flat minor, is D flat and B flat, dinosaur flat and butterfly flat. By the way, if you cannot distinguish sometimes with the letters, stop and let me know, because sometimes I forget to call out my animals. I know I was not in the military, so I'm not going to do alpha, whatever. I make
Dawn, what was the last chord? What was the last chord?
B flat minor, butterfly flat minor, which is D flat, dinosaur flat, and B flat, butterfly flat.
Didn't get it.
D flat and B flat.
D flat and B flat. Which one is that now?
B flat minor. It's in line 2, second chord, second measure.
Okay,
Got it?
got it.
That's kind of a hard chord. We don't see that one all that often. The E flat, that's just one key. That's just your E flat. Now, the E flat 7, which is optional, is D flat and E flat, dinosaur flat and elephant flat. The second line, or I'm sorry, the third line, F major 7, we know, D minor, D and F, G minor, G and B flat, gorilla and flat butterflies. The C7 is optional, C and B flat, chicken and butterfly flat. Your first ending has 4 chords, and if you just play A, D, G, C, that would be fine, but the 7s are going to add a little bit of spice. A7 is G and A, gorillas and alligators. D7 is C and D, chickens and dinosaurs. G7 is F and G, fish and gorillas. And C7 is C and B flat, chicken and flat butterflies. The last line, you have an F7 in the middle of the page. That is E flat and F. And let's see, what else do we have? Top of the second page. B minor. B minor, its top chord, is D and B, dinosaur and butterfly. And play it the wide way. Don't try to shift your hand around. Play it with D on the bottom and B on the top. E7 is D and E, or just play E. Let's see, I think we've covered them all now. Yep, that would be it.
Dawn?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of chords here. Any questions on chords?
No, but I want to say something. You said on the first ending, the G7, you said F and G, it's an F sharp and G.
No, no. Nope, that's not a major 7. It's a regular 7.
Oh, yeah, no, but the chord for G7?
Is F and G.
Oh, it's F and G.
Yep.
Okay, never mind.
It's F and G.
Yeah.
Yep. And your fingers probably go there all the time. And your brain just sometimes, yeah. That's why if you learn your chords in the same position every time, then you don't have to think about it. Because the minute you start thinking about it, then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, where is it? But your fingers probably know where most of these chords already are. You can probably feel your way around. That's the whole idea of keeping your hand in one position to play your chords. I guarantee you, if you see a G7, your fingers automatically know where to go the minute you got to think about it. A friend of mine, wow, he used to work for the company, and he played the most incredible 5 and 6 finger and 7 finger chords. I mean, he was amazing. No, he only had 5 fingers, but he played amazing chords. And I used to stop and ask him, slow down. What are you playing? I want to see what you're playing. I want to learn what you're doing. And he said to me, Donnie, baby, he said, I have no idea what I'm doing. He said, I just hear it and play it. Drove me crazy. But the idea is, the point is, he played the song so many times that his fingers just knew where to go, even on 4 and 5 fingered chords. So if he can do it with 4 and 5 finger chords, we can do it with 1 and 2 fingered chords. That after a while, that just gets so comfortable with them that your fingers know where they're going. That's called muscle memory. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's do some fingering. Now, I also told you the right hand was going to be tricky. The right hand is tricky. Why? Because you have some very long intervals. Intervals are the spaces between the notes. And this is a tough song to sing for the same reason, because if you look, you've got more than an octave in a lot of the phrases. That's hard to do. That's very hard to do. But let's do the fingering, and if do it in pencil. If your fingers don't like what my fingers are doing, please feel free to try something different, as long as it's making beautiful music and your fingers are comfortable with it it's okay. It's okay to erase mine and put your own in. This is just a good guide to get you started. C5, A3, E1. C2 with a circle, you're going to cross it over. D1, you're going to put that 1 right back down. E flat 2, now you're going to stretch from that 2 up to the 5. D is 5. Now, if you can't quite reach that, I'm going to suggest that you do a little grace note from the C sharp to the D. Do a 2 on the E flat, do a grace note from the D flat to the D, or the C sharp to the D, and you might be able to reach it a little easier. That's just one of those professional tricks from somebody who has very short fingers.
Are we gonna do numbers?
Yep. D5, 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 D5.
Oh, D5, D5. Where are you?
Oh, we're still on line 1. You want me to start over?
Please.
Okay. C5, A3, E1. C2 with a circle. That means you're crossing it over. D1, E flat 2, D5. And if you wanted to do a little C sharp grace note before that, it's also a 5 because you're just going to slide your finger. D5, 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 D5. C4, A3, F2. D1 on the next line. A2 with a circle, that means you're crossing it over. B flat 3, D1, circle it, you're tucking that one back under. Wow, so you're doing this. Thumb on D, cross over the 2 to the A, then 3 on the B flat, then tuck that thumb right back under. F2, A3, C5, 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 B flat 4, C5, B flat 4. And I think if you noticed, I also did that first measure not with the timing that's written. Now, you can play it with the timing that's written, but it flows better if you play it the way you remember it being sung. And I remember that first D being held longer, and then all those other notes being eighth notes. So you play it the way it works for you. Sometimes easy play music is written so that we can see the notes easier, but sometimes the timing on them makes it real choppy if you play it exactly the way it's written. So do it the way it feels. Use the notes as a guide. Let's go to line 3. A3, B flat 4, C5, F1, G2, A3, B flat 4, D1, D1, E2, F3, G4, first ending A5. After that held A, in that quarter rest, put a check mark. You're starting a new phrase. You're going to reposition your hand. The pickup notes are C5A3. Second ending F3. Check mark. New phrase. F1, G2, A3, C1, circle it, you're going to do a tuck under. Now you have to skip a note to do that tuck under, but you can do it. D2, E flat 3, E flat 3, E flat 3, E flat 3. Second measure of the last line, E flat 3, F4, G flat 5. F4, E flat 3, D2, 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 D2. Let's go to the top of the second page. F1, G2, B flat 3, C1. Circle it. You're tucking it under. If you don't do that, you're going to run out of fingers. D2, E3, 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 D2, E3, 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 D2, G5, E3, D2, C1. At the end of that held C in that quarter rest, put a check mark. You're going to lift your hand and reposition it. C5, A3, E1, C2 with a circle. You're crossing it over. D1. Third line, E flat 2. D5, and if you want to put a little grace note on the C sharp, that's also your fifth finger. You're just going to slide your finger from and do a little grace note, and it'll get there easier. D5, 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 D5. I maybe put in one too many, that's okay. C4, A3, F2, D1, A2, circle it. You're crossing it over. B flat 3. D1, circle that one. You're tucking it under. F2, A3. Next line, C5, C5, C5. B flat 4, C5. B flat 4, A3, B flat 4, C5, F1, G2, A3, B flat 4, D1, D1, E2, F3, G4, and F3. Any questions about fingering? No? Okay. All right. Now, the roadmap is pretty self-explanatory, but for those of you that still are working on repeat dots, let's take a look at it. Follow the lyrics. It will always take you where you need to go. Look at me. The dots are facing forward, so you ignore them. You just go forward. I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree, and I feel like I'm clinging to a cloud. I can't understand. I get misty just holding your hand. And then you have that first ending. At the end of the first ending, you have two dots, a thin line and a thick line. And then the walk my. So those dots are sending you back to the top of the page to where the dots are facing forward. Walk my way. If you follow the lyrics, it will always take you where you need to go. And 1,000 violins begin to play. Or it might be the sound of your hello, that music I hear. I get misty the moment you're near. Second ending. So if you need to put a little arrow, a little 2 at the end of line 3, and a little arrow to the 2 second ending, go ahead and do that. Cheating is fine. And then you finish the song. This is a typical song pattern. I know, I think Joe Fontesha did had a lesson on learning how to play by song patterns. Song patterns are nothing more than 8 measures here and 8 measures there that are similar. So it repeats, which is a wonderful thing. So if you just learned the first full 8 measures, and yeah, they divide up some of these in the middle of measures, but that's okay. Start counting the first full measure, which is me, I'm, as, and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, first ending, 7, 8. Wow. So your first 8 measures is actually called part A. And if you just practice those first 8 measures, you will have 75% of the song done, because you have to go back and play it the second time, and then guess what? You're also going to play it again at the end of the song. So fingering should be very similar, if not exact, from that section A to the second section A to the last section A, because your fingers will also start to remember what they did. So consistency in your fingering is important, especially on a song like this where you have some tricky passages. And again, if my fingering doesn't work for you, find your own that does, and then make sure that it's the same every time you play that passage. Consistency in fingering is very important. So where's the other 8? The 8 called the bridge, which would be part B, starts right after the second ending. You can say that you're leading me on. Remember, a bridge is a connecting piece. It's the one part of the song that's not going to match any other part. Well, what does a bridge do if you have 2 pieces of land? It's the connecting piece. The bridge is the connecting piece over 2 similar pieces of music. And it's just to give it variety, so it makes it a pretty song. That's just a very typical song pattern. So let's count. You can say that your measure 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it looks like I have 9. It's not 9. You know why? Because if you count 7, that first measure you can say is actually the 8th measure for the first part. And then all those, you can say that yours technically the pickup notes. So it does come out right. The only reason I'm telling you this is so that when you're practicing, because this is a tougher song, that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to tackle the whole song at once. No, you don't. Left hand by itself, right hand by itself in sections. Do the first 8 measures first. Then learn the bridge. The bridge should be like the last thing that you learn. And just practice the bridge. You can say that you're leading me on and stop when you get to the end of those 8 measures. That's why I'm following you. And stop. And just play that part until it gets comfortable, one hand at a time. Use your rhythms to help you. If you're playing right hand with rhythm and you're not playing chords, my suggestion is do a no chord so you just have your drum beat. Because otherwise, if you're not changing chords, it's going to sound kind of strange. So if you're playing, I don't care what rhythm you're using. I don't care if you go back to basic country and set it at 70 to learn to play it so you can hear the beat. There's your Smoky Lounge. That's kind of hard to hear the beat, but if you start playing and you don't change chords, it's going to sound weird. That doesn't sound good, does it? But if you do a no chord, that just gives you your drum beat. Why? So you can keep your timing. Let this guy do the counting for you so you don't have to. Now it doesn't matter about the chord. Okay, so basically that's like taking me home and playing everybody together and just playing one hand at a time. Put on your rhythm, do a no chord, let the drums keep the beat for you. And I didn't play it with feeling, and I didn't play it with phrasing the way I normally would. I played it the way it was written just so my fingers learned where they're going. This is tougher because it has some strange crossovers and tuck-unders. And you don't want to get your thumbs caught on the black notes with the right hand because then you're going to get all finger-tied. So work things in sections and work them one hand at a time. Okay, I'm going to play it again. This time I'm going to use a different background. I'm going to use smooth piano 4/4, which is basically exactly the same as any of your easies, your smooth full band. And it would sound like this. Piano strings comes up on top with an English horn on the bottom. Okay, that was Smooth Piano 4/4. How are we doing on time? Oh, good. Okay. Um, my favorite, I think, was Randy's favorite background. It's called Smoky Strings. And like I said, if you don't have smoky strings, see me after class. We'll get you fixed up. It just gives it a real pretty loungy flavor. Okay. I also liked it, I told you, on some of the pianist backgrounds. This one is called Romantic Piano. Now, here's a tip for you. Those of you that have the pianist guitarist backgrounds, if you're just on rhythm preset 0, you're only going to get the piano player with the bass player. Then you have to go in and add your drums and whatever else fill-ins you want. If you automatically go to preset number 10, it's going to give you the drums automatically, and sometimes it even gives you a string underneath that piano, so it sounds a little bit fuller. This is Romantic Piano at 70. It's also very beautiful on piano offering. And I'm sure, because this is a standard, you can find 1,000 different rhythms on your piano. Yeah, if you don't have 1,000 rhythms, see me after class. I'll fix you up. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't really struggle with this, but I never know when it's best to drop down to the lower keyboard. Is there, I mean, would you do both the two verses on the upper and then the bridge on the lower and then back to the upper?
That works. That absolutely works. The time to change a preset is usually after your 8 measures. And
Okay.
you can, just don't change in the middle of your 8 measures. They should be changed. You can play the same sound for both verses and then go to the bottom, or you could change the sound for the second verse. Just make sure it's after those 8 measures. Always make sure it's a place that you would take a breath. That's the end of the phrase. It's the end of your section. If it's the end of the section, then it's okay to change from upper to lower, or press a different preset if you wish. That's
Okay.
Totally. That's why you have so many of them. You're going to find a couple of them that you like. You may not feel like going back to that top keyboard. You might want to go to a big, and remember 9 and 10 are always going to give you the big ensembles. You might want to automatically go to 9 and 10 and mark them in. It's okay to mark them in.
That's a
Okay,
good
thanks.
question. I didn't know how to ask it.
No, that was a good question. That
Good
was a very good question. Any other questions? No?
Nope.
Okay, well, this is a fabulous song, and I hope you enjoy it. It will take a little bit of work on finger work and chord work. If the only thing you learned today was how to make a major 7, you are 100% successful. Also, remember that if you don't like the song, don't worry about it. Don't play it. Of course, I can't imagine anybody not liking Misty. This is just one of those fabulous, beautiful songs. But, you know, it might remind you of an old boyfriend. And if that's the case, you can ink it out and throw it away and go to the next song. Next week, we'll do Moon River. Let's see if we're going to do 2 next week. Moon River's not that hard. And My Favorite Things. Yeah, we could actually do 2. We'll stay with the 2 waltzes. We'll do the 2 songs next week. Moon River and My Favorite Things. We'll do both of those next week. Okay, don't forget to look for your emails from Robert about all the things that are coming up with Member Appreciation Days. That's some good stuff happening. And also go to the website and start getting used to going to the website. Just practice with that and see what's on there. It's a work in progress. It's not completely done yet, but I don't have any of my things on there yet, but that's going to be coming. That will be coming. So all month long, no worries. Robert's going to send all the links, but after this month, he's hoping that we can just start using the web page for getting to all your classes. Also, 2 o'clock on Friday, our Zoom musical is Jerome and Robert. And Jerome, I get a kick out of him. He's more like a gospel-y, bluesy guy, and he does a real nice job. So join us on Friday at 2 o'clock for our Zoom musical. Okay, any more questions?
That's great. That's
Nope.
great.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you
That
so
was a
much.
good class.
For the awesome-
Fantastic job as ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Enjoyed
I'm glad you kept your time, Dawn, because I
Pardon?
was with because at one point it was you and what's his name at the same time, and I like both your classes, but now he's at a different day, so it's like
Brian.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Now, I am teaching, for those of you who really would like to join me for level 1, I am doing level 1s. Okay, right now it's by invitation only, and we're building that class. Most of the new people that are coming in would prefer the in-store classes, but if you seriously wanted to come to my level 1 class, because I had to open one up, and the reason is Brian is no longer with the company. So that's why he's not teaching the level 1 class the same time. And that's okay. I think he decided to go pursue some professional music on his own, go back to school and really get good at it. He's young enough. Yeah, that's a good thing. Something
I have a
should do.
question.
Yeah.
Can you go over, you said that you're starting a program for people outside of Fletcher Music that might be interested. Can you review that for me?
Yeah, if you've got some friends
Yeah.
who are on, who have emails, it's okay for you to schedule, to just forward once you have the link, right, to get to this class. Forward the link to those people and have them join us and see what they think.
Okay.
If they are beginners, make sure I get their email so I can get them to the beginner class. Because right now we're not sending out global links for that. We may in the future, but right now we're not. We're only sending out links to the people that really want to come to just a beginner class. If that's you, email me, let me know.
What day is the beginner class going to be on?
Thursdays at 11.
She thinks.
Thursdays at 11. I mean, and we're talking beginner. This is a quarter note. This is a half note. This is a quarter rest. We're going right back to
Yay!
yellow book. If you want to be in that class, email me, let me know, and I'll make sure you get in on that class. Because right now we're building that class, like I said. But it is very tough if people don't have an instrument and they're living here in the villages. They really want to come in and do the in-store class so that they can get their hands on an instrument and play.
Yes. That's the
Okay,
best.
another question.
Yes.
Is it possible, I've been trying to get into that link and my phone's not picking it up yet. I'm sure I will in a day or two, but could I give a friend of mine the numbers to get into this Zoom class, and I'll just let you know if he comes in on it?
You can give them the numbers, but it's easier just to forward the link.
Okay,
Or give me the email and I can forward the link. That's the easiest way to do it, is just forward your link. You can still use your link, but just forward the link to your friend.
The email. Or the email.
For the email, and just forward that email to your friend.
oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Have them join us and see what they think. My goodness.
Yeah,
And then we can make sure that your friend gets into, if he needs beginner class, we can get him into the beginner class.
no, he doesn't.
He's more of a player?
Yeah, he was. He used to play Baby Grand years
Oh
ago.
my, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we're allowed to have as many as 500 people at a time. So So if you have friends that you want to invite to see what we do, absolutely. Why? Because they might take a look at this beautiful organ and say, ooh, I have to have one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
absolutely. Please feel free to do that. We're kind of, I know myself, I've been in the company for 23 years, and it's just been ingrained in me. Lifetime free lessons for everybody who buys an instrument from us. But now that we're trying to open up globally, I mean, this pandemic has really changed everything, absolutely everything. And I'm changing my mind about it as well, that there's organ orphans out there from other stores who are no longer dealing with Lowry or offering lessons. What are they going to do? Hopefully some of them have already seen us on YouTube and have decided to join us on YouTube and then get the links and join us here. And that's what a wonderful thing. So I think we as a company, we are evolving so that we can service not just our members, but globally. Let's catch all of them. I mean, if we're going to be teaching on Zoom, we can have up to 500 people. Let's go for it. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You guys are the awesomest.
Dawn, are you playing on a symphony?
I am playing on a symphony. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So if anybody would like a symphony, see me after class. Just shoot me an email. And they're actually, I think they're on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. I do believe there is a symphony demo that you can go to and just take a look at it and see what you think. And see me after class. Shoot me an email and say, you know what, I think I might be interested. What kind of pricing can we do? Just let me know. Let me know. You guys are the bestest.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Alice.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say hello
Thank
to
you.
Randy.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Say hello to
Bye.
Randy.